I'm on my go gadget flow. I'm on my go gadget flow. What's popping, people? Welcome to RadarVault. You know what time it is? It's Mecca season. Always here to just keep it 100. And today, on today's episode, I'm chopping it up with the homeboy Joe. I wish I had a live audience right now. We'd just be hearing a round of applause. That's what it is. So I'm kicking it with Joe today, guys, and we're gonna be chopping it up, on some very important topics. Today we're gonna be talking about social pressure. The pressure you get from not just the people around you, but from society, and how you're expected to deal with it. Because it's a very important topic that I felt, I might as well just talk about it on the show. And we're going to be, kicking it with Joe, and Joe is going to also give us his insight on how he feels and how he feels it should be approached and all that. So it should be fun. You guys should touch that dial or don't stop listening. So Joe, how's your day, man?
Great. Absolutely great day. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. This is the highlight of my day, actually.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I was prepping for today.
No way.
All through the week.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm hyped to be here right now.
Hyped. So I bet Joe is gonna be ready to give you all the best advice and the best, dialogue.
I can only do my best.
You can only do your best. I know what time it is. So how was it coming? How was it coming? Getting here and just just basically the day in terms of just coming. Was it a smooth ride, or do you have to deal with Lagos traffic?
No, it was easy. It was easy, and I think it was because of where I came from. Okay. It was nice. Yeah, day started all right. Yeah. All through the week, I was feeling a little down. I thought it might be flu, but then I feel a lot better today. So.
Oh, okay, that's nice, man.
Yeah.
So So Joe, we're talking about social pressure. Yeah. I understand social pressure is the expectancy that from your surroundings and the society around you in terms of how you're supposed to dress, feel, and look, and your expectations. And this pressure can weigh down on an individual depending on the circumstances. So what is your take on social pressure as just the word itself?
Social pressure.
Yeah.
Now that's what a lot of people also know as peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure. There are multiple types of social pressure. Yeah.
Exactly. So, typically it's how a group or a person influences you,
Yeah.
So it is such a strong topic in the social sciences.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I studied psychology in school.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah. I studied psychology, and I'm hoping one day to be a pro psychologist.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And then when it comes to my life personally, I know I have lived through it and I'm still living through it.
Yeah.
So it's such a big topic, and it'll continue to be an ongoing topic.
Yeah.
It's not one of those where you talk about it and you're done.
Yeah.
Because you continue to live through it.
Yeah.
So I think it's very interesting, and it's nice that it's a topic we're chopping up today.
Oh, that's nice, man. That's nice. I didn't even know that you studied psychology.
There are a lot of things you don't know, Mika.
Yeah. I'm guessing you'll probably be able to read someone's body language and understand the vibe that the person is giving to you. Although, do they need to have a conversation with you for you to be able to, understand that, or you can just sense by just their movement and be like, okay.
Psychologists are in no way magicians. Like I said, I'm not a pro psychologist yet, but it's something I'm aiming to be someday.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just know that behavior can be influenced.
Yeah.
So it is something that is different with everyone.
Yeah.
So whatever you see in someone and whatever symptoms you think you've seen in someone, you could see in someone else, but they would yield different results. Yeah, so it's something you would have to study, for everybody and every situation differently.
Yeah. Oh wow! So each individual will have their own approach.
Exactly.
Okay, that's nice, man. From my general understanding, and back to social pressure, there are multiple types of pressure. There's perfectionism, as a sign of pressure. Perfectionism could be let's say for instance you scroll on Instagram, you know how Instagram be popping and
Yeah,
everybody
it be
is
popping, bro. It be popping, bro.
and everybody is excuse me.
Sorry, man.
And everybody is on Instagram is like top notch on their game.
Yeah.
And you scroll on Instagram and you see how perfect it is, and then you're pressured to want to live up to that expectation. Another instance could be you see the perfect family or the perfect couple outside and it's all glamorous, when truly, you know, nothing is perfect. But then you feel the pressure to want to live up to that standard. That's perfectionism.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that in terms of like the pressure we get from just our surroundings and in terms of perfectionism?
It's crazy, right? Because it doesn't matter how you try to deny it, you feel it at some point. You know, so that is why this piece of wisdom by Socrates, tibi ipsi esto fidelis, which means to thine own self be true, is something I abide by. You know, it guides me because I listen to myself. You know, I won't lie, IG is my favorite app. I'm always on there. I think that's where you'll always find me on IG. You understand? I like pictures, man. You know, so when I see these things, I remind myself that as beautiful and as perfect as they look, you know, no one is necessarily showing their bad sides. You know? Because
everyone is just trying to be top notch and on their game and living lavish on this platform. And this pressure, that could weigh down on an individual.
It could in a big way actually. And you know, I for one, I have like first-hand experiences because I've seen friends of mine, you know, react or change entirely based off what they've seen on social media. You know, so it's crazy, but we have to do our best, you know, to remind ourselves that we have to live in our own reality. So I try to stay positive.
Is it essential to be like someone, to be perfect? If someone portrays this image of themselves as, you know, extraordinary, is it necessary for an individual to feel the need to want to live up to that? Like, why would anybody feel that urge to want to, you know, portray themselves exactly the way they see out? Because some people don't really tell you what happens indoors or what happens behind closed doors. Some people don't tell you the background of a lot of things.
Absolutely.
They just show you what they want you and what they want to is just for you to know the good side, the glams. And so, like, for those that feel that they have to live up to that, I feel like one question they should ask themselves is, what truly goes on behind closed doors? You know, what does an individual have to go through each and every day that they don't tell you about? You understand?
Absolutely.
So that aspect of perfectionism is, you know, is a major key, you know, in terms of understanding it. You know, another aspect that I also, you know of in terms of pressure is the pressure to perform or performing. I give you an instance. Take, for instance, the pressure you have to perform in school. You know?
Bro.
You know, at Nigerian parents, they're the ones that will carry cane.
My guy. It's crazy.
They'll carry cane and flog you, literally.
It's crazy. You know, throughout the 4 life course stages, you know, there's childhood, there's adolescence, there's adulthood, there's old age. There are pressures that come with
non-stop.
All these different stages. You know, and as a child, I'm the first son, you know, so there's even more pressure for me because before long I had younger siblings. You know, and I can remember my dad, my mom would always say, do right because your younger siblings are watching you. You know, from as little as 8, I could do some stuff in the kitchen. You know, all of that. And there was what was expected of me in school. You know, so all of these, you know, they help form whom a person is going to be, you know, but it depends on how it is handled.
We could associate that to some of the advantages of pressure, because it could literally on its own, make you a better version of yourself.
Exactly.
In as much as it also has its advantages.
Exactly.
Too. So, but I know for a fact that, especially in the Nigerian culture, that majority of them, even in some schools, they still practice the flogging, where they cane
Absolutely.
you, which I feel is the wrong way to go about it. Because I feel like there's 1,001 way you could train a kid that they would probably abide to whatever it is you want without having to be physical,
When it comes to flogging, I, for one, I went through it. After primary school, I went to boarding school.
Yeah.
So secondary school was boarding school all 6 years.
Yeah.
And whether or not most of the flogging came from teachers, they were seniors.
They were seniors too as well.
Yeah. So seniors used the cane.
Yeah.
Loads of time to, enforce their rule, because they had their own rules, and then to enforce fear, just to get us to do stuff, even when it wasn't necessary. You get. So over time, and I must admit, I became a senior at some point, and I can remember using the cane. So, I'm just saying. Today I know it's not
the circle.
Great. Today I know it's not the best way I could have gone.
Yeah.
You understand, but I didn't need to get older to know that, but then where I was exposed,
based off your surroundings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was just crazy. Punishment by flogging is, I don't know, but it should not be practiced anywhere.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially in this, with our generation and the generations to come. I feel like it's something that should be completely abolished.
Exactly. So it's crazy. I know that when we reinforce positive behavior, it grows. When we punish negative behavior, it has a tendency to die down.
Or escalate.
Or escalate. You get. Yeah. There's always like a two-way street.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. There's no exact blueprint.
Yeah.
You understand? So you have to study whatever situation, whomever is involved, and try to go about it the right way.
The right way.
Yeah.
Still speaking on that, in terms of pressure you get, what in terms of pressure you get to perform. What about pressure to also perform academically, that we, like teenagers, that there's so much weighing on a lot of teenagers, especially like depending on what country you are, you have, secondary school or,
the university
and whatnot. And then there's this overwhelming pressure for an individual to perform academically that, could weigh down on the person if not handled and controlled properly.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
And then the thing about it is, I went to secondary school out here in Nigeria. I actually went to St. Gregory's College.
All right.
And still primary school too as well. And there's always that grading where they assign numbers to determine who's doing better.
Yeah,
first,
exactly.
Third, fourth. And so we can imagine the kind of pressure that would be on the weight on the kid that's not really doing much, like that's not at the tops. Let's say the person taking last.
Yeah. Because someone would come last.
Yeah, someone has to.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can imagine the amount of pressure that would be on that kid every time he has to wake up and realize that he's at the bottom of the class.
Yeah.
You understand?
So, crazy, right?
Yeah.
Primary school, I had an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I did good. In fact, my last result in primary school was my best result.
Yeah.
Then I went to secondary school.
Yeah.
My first result, I came 29th in a class of 40-something students.
Yeah.
And I was little, but it hit me.
Yeah.
I was in a different environment and I was experiencing something for the very first time. I was little, but I remember till date. I remember coming 29th, and how many years after, it's because of how it made me feel.
Yeah.
That day I felt like a dummy.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You see?
Absolutely.
Part of the negatives.
Very negative.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. It's not just how you feel, because you put pressure on yourself too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's how you think people perceive you. Yeah. So it became crazy. And then from then on, this could have been positive. I wanted to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I experienced that, and then not just myself. I remember, people who were doing better in class had a clique.
Yeah.
So you would want to be part of that.
Part of it.
So it worked in certain ways that I experienced. And whether or not you felt like you're genuinely friends with this person who comes first or second in class, you would want to be in the same clique as they are.
You want to associate yourself with them.
Because it makes you automatically feel like they are better than you. You understand? So even as a child, you struggle with emotions you don't understand.
Exactly.
You understand? And who knows, maybe the change of environment and school just has a different impact on you. Maybe it's not necessarily what you didn't do right when studying, but you won't know as a kid. So it was tough. And I personally got over that in senior secondary school.
Yeah.
All through junior secondary school, I was, battling my demons. So to say. So it was crazy.
Don't you think it's better for for a kid, instead of putting so much pressure on, all that pressure that has to be put on, and they're just a kid, I think it's better for them to catch up at their own pace. Do you understand?
Absolutely. That is why it is important for schools to have, counseling departments.
Yes.
I remember mine didn't have until I was in senior secondary school.
Yeah.
There was an office for it and all of that, but for some reason we didn't have a counselor.
Yeah.
You understand? So until I was in senior secondary school. So if, that department was functional, when I just entered the school, I think they could have helped me. They could have advised me.
Yeah.
When I came to in the 9th in class, all I could think of was my parents and how I had disappointed them.
Yeah.
Because to the best of my knowledge, that was the most expensive school I had been at the time.
Yeah.
So I felt like, why would my parents put this much effort, sent me to this school, and I'm pretty much coming with the worst results. So it hit me.
Yeah.
So if the counseling department was functional at the time, maybe they could have helped me. Maybe they could have helped me see things in certain lights that would have helped me, know certain things.
Yeah.
I had to find out certain things for myself.
Yeah.
Even though the department became functional later, I don't remember ever going there.
Yeah.
Because certain things you just have to, if for some reason you have a good head on your shoulders, that's really
I can imagine the amount of pressure that weighed on you, knowing fully well that your parents were actually financing you in a very fancy and expensive school.
I didn't say it was fancy.
Okay, expensive. And you had to really live up to the expectations. In my case, I went to my secondary school. Most of my education, my secondary school wasn't really the most perfect in terms of what my grades were and what my grades weren't.
Yeah.
To understand. But the major thing that I took away from it was the fact that I had to understand what my values were. And understanding my values put me in a position to know that I can't be like any other person. Do you understand? I know my worth and I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So that allowed me explore other avenues and other aspects that weren't necessarily linked to the pressure that was coming on me academically. So what I did was I looked for my escape, and for me, one of my major escapes was basketball.
Basketball, I play basketball too. Yeah. I do.
Guard, what?
I'm a point guard.
Point guard.
Yeah.
I was a guard.
Okay, cool stuff, bro. Cool stuff.
I played a bunch of games every day. I'd get my ass to the court while I was in secondary school to just ball. I still do play basketball till today.
Okay.
So that was like my escape. So for me, I mean, for someone else, it could be a different situation.
Yeah, it could be totally different.
And for a kid that can't really handle it, they might wind up turning towards isolation.
Yeah.
So isolation is a major side effect of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feeling that you can't live up to the standards and expectations of the people around you. Mm-hmm. And you don't fit in, like you were saying something about the cliques that were at first. Yeah. And I'm guessing that there might still be some kids that were still in that same environment that weren't living up to that standard of having first or being top notch, that had to sort of isolate themselves because they felt they didn't fit in.
Exactly.
You understand? And so, like you said, having a counseling department would have been a major breakthrough for some school. I feel like they should start implementing that in Nigeria, man. I feel like whoever is listening, if you have a school that doesn't have a counselor or a counseling department, I mean, come on, you should bring it up to them. But aside from schools, right, there's also the pressure to perform in the work environment. That's another crazy one.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Depending on what it is you do, Yeah, it comes in different forms, and it's crazy actually. What's even more crazy about that is there could be pressure to perform at work.
Yeah.
And you could get that pressure from somebody who's not even in the same office as you.
Department.
Or even company, just because you see what these people are doing at their own jobs.
Yeah.
You understand? So, when it comes to jobs and work, people don't necessarily care what it is you're going through at home.
Yeah.
They just expect you to perform.
Everyone is trying to please the boss.
Exactly. They just expect you to perform. Whatever it is that bothers you before you get to the office, leave it outside.
Yeah.
And I wish that life were that easy, but then we're only humans, and things, would affect you in certain ways, So if someone isn't performing optimally, something is causing it.
Yeah.
And then there's rivalry in the workspace too.
Yeah.
Big rivalry. So
favoritism. A lot of people.
All of that happens. Yeah. All of that happens. So I feel like for one, I know that every, stage or whatever aspect of pressure you're dealing with is a big deal. But I feel like it is more hectic at work.
But more hectic?
Yeah.
Work in the work environment, like you have different departments, but the main thing that I've noticed in the work environment, because I've worked with certain companies in the past.
Okay.
And the main thing that I've noticed with the work environment is everybody's looking for favoritism. Everybody's looking to please the boss.
Absolutely.
Everybody's plotting to be the person that gets promoted, the person that, climbs up that ladder. And so the pressure weighs down on you when you're supposed to perform and when you're supposed to deliver based off whatever deadline or basically, like push the company forward. Yeah. And when you see and find out that there are other people that are doing a better job at it than you are put on the spot to either step up your game and try to, live up to that expectation or stand the risk of losing your job.
Yeah, I had a friend who quit her job last week.
Wow.
Simply because, when she got the job, they gave her targets to meet.
Wow.
And it's crazy with certain companies these days because they give you targets, and some of these targets, if we're going to be honest, are up there.
Yeah.
You would have to work your ass off to meet them. And it wasn't just realistic. At a point, she felt like it was eating her up. Yeah. So it was better to quit.
But wow.
Yeah. And then it's
that's a typical example of the pressure
exactly
she was going through.
Exactly. So it's crazy. Like I said, you talked about values, and understanding
your values.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like if you don't have values, you would easily be put off. You would easily fall off.
Yeah.
Every negative emotion you feel would get at you.
Yeah.
You understand? So understanding yourself, like I said, to thine own self, be true.
Be true, yeah. And I feel like probably that's why she decided to make the decision.
Absolutely. Because she figured out it wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So now she told me about her plans to cope for the meantime while she sent out applications to other firms and companies. So I feel like whatever works for your mental health, is best.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what anyone else says. You would feel pressure.
Yeah.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
You would feel it, but how do you handle it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we'll talk on that. That's true. And another aspect of the pressure you get from work is that sometimes some people might see you as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? So we've taken it from the side where, you're trying to please, or you're trying to live up to the expectation of whatever it is that the company wants from you. You get pressure on that side.
Mm-hmm.
You could also still get pressure on the side where you are actually the one performing well, right? And you would have your colleagues and your part of staff member look at you and see you as a threat. And so because of that, they might actually decide to make your life difficult. So you now have faced with the dilemma of maintaining a formal, cordial relationship in work, or allowing your emotions get the best of you.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Absolutely.
And that could determine whether or not you break
Absolutely.
in that environment.
Absolutely. Because from what you've said, I can totally relate, because I've seen it happen, You're doing your job.
Yeah.
You're just good at your job.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, there are people in your work environment who are not doing as great as you.
Yeah.
It's obvious from the way you're treated. It's obvious from the way assignments are assigned to you.
Yeah.
It's just obvious.
Yeah.
Good work shows.
Yeah.
And then maybe, who knows, your colleagues might tease you.
Yeah.
You're doing great, but they'll tease you still. Say things like, now you be our oga and stuff like that. And that's pressure in a way. And you would wonder if you have to tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
Just so you're on the same level as them, and then this pressure stops.
Yeah.
Or if, since you notice it affects certain relationships with certain colleagues, if you would keep it formal, as you said, or if you would, withdraw into your shell and, let it have a negative
impact on you.
Yeah. So it's crazy, and it happens. And, in the work environments, like I said, I feel like it's hectic.
Yeah.
Because, this is where you get your paycheck. This is what determines the things you're going to do in life. If you're a career person, it's even more. So it's wild in that space, and a lot of people react very differently to these things.
Dealing with it could be very, very crucial in terms of
it could be
the direction you're heading.
Absolutely, it could be. So I, for one, I would say, it all boils down to values for me still, bro. But I would say, do the best at every point in time.
Yeah.
If you're not doing great at some point, maybe your colleagues who are not doing great should take this advice. Step up the game.
Yeah.
So, and if everybody is keeping it positive, then maybe it won't have such an impact on you.
Yeah.
So you won't step down or tone it down just to fit other people.
Yeah, don't please and
exactly.
The word is self-care, and it's also part of the ways you can handle pressure. Self-care.
Absolutely.
Do whatever it is that it's in your power to make yourself happy.
Absolutely.
And part of it is ensuring that you're not doing anything to make yourself feel at ease. Sorry. And that is also another key way of just
there's a saying, self-care is not selfish. So it's very important. Very important.
But what would you say about socio-economical pressure? Socio-economic pressure is, let's take for instance, you're being forced to leave school, and due to low finances, and because of that, you're forced to work a low-income job.
Yeah.
That would ultimately lead to a life of hard work and potentially poverty, simply because of the fact that, let's say, your parents couldn't finance you to go to school, so you have to drop out, and you don't have any other option to work a low-income job. And that could affect a lot of things that might happen to you in the future.
Yeah.
So what would you think about socio-economic pressure? Because it applies to a lot of the citizens in Nigeria too as well, because there are a lot of people in Nigeria, not because of the fact that they can go to school, they don't want to. It's just simply because they can't afford to.
Absolutely.
So they're forced to work miniature jobs, which might ultimately be what they would work the rest of their life.
Social economic pressure.
Yeah.
It affects me too.
Yeah.
Like, I for one know how crazy it is. You talked about, people who aren't able to do certain things because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
A lot of people in certain areas, it's common in some communities that once you go to secondary school, after secondary school, you look for work.
Yeah.
There's no university talk. There's no master's or PhD talk.
Yeah.
Once you've gone to secondary school, your parents have tried for you.
Yeah.
And it's not because that's necessarily what they want. It's what they can afford.
Yeah.
So it has even become a thing in the whole community. Once a person is done from secondary school, they begin to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
And if a kid who is probably as young as 15 years of age, hasn't figured out life enough to know what he wants to do at that point to take him to his next level, then he is looked at as a failure in some way.
No.
So that's mad pressure.
Because they didn't choose that. They didn't choose that. They were forced into it.
Exactly. And in Nigeria, it is the case for a lot of families. If you check the percentage of low-income earners or the unemployed, you would understand why that is. So it is the reality of a lot of people, and you see people working odd jobs, different kinds of odd jobs. If you've been abroad, you have a typical idea of what odd jobs are. But then if you come to Nigeria, you see odd jobs that are other.
Yeah.
They are just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then people are just doing things because they want to afford their next meal.
Yeah, just the basic
exactly
fundamentals.
Exactly.
That's all they need.
So it's crazy, yeah.
So it's mad pressure that's building an economy, and part of it too is also depending on how buoyant and strong the country is economically. But most people can't control that.
Absolutely not, because it's been an ongoing problem for ages.
Yeah.
It's what we talk about when we talk about Nigeria today. It's what we'll talk about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who knows? In years to come, we'll still talk about it.
Increases the unemployment rate, increases the risk of lack of what's it called? Lack of security. No,
lack of security.
Lack of security.
It just has
all those petty and all those things. Crimes. Yeah, increases the crime rate. Yeah.
Loads and loads of negative impacts because that's one big topic. Has different subfields and repercussions, so to say. So, for one, I was lucky to have parents who liked the idea of school.
Yeah.
So they sent me to school.
Yeah.
I know that I have classmates from back in the day who loved school. They did excellently in school, but after secondary school, they couldn't go to university.
Exactly. It's the kind of pressure we're talking about.
I graduated university some years ago, 2017 actually. And then, like I told you, I would want to be a pro psychologist.
Yeah, pro. Yeah, you said.
But I've not done my master's. I've not done my PhD.
Okay.
Why? Because I felt like I had to do certain things before it is time. Because I'm out of school now. My parents are not taking care of me anymore.
Okay.
It stopped sometime in school, actually.
Yeah.
So there's the pressure to perform, to get your life to where you might want it to be.
Yeah.
Absolute pressure. And it just affects the society in different ways. Some people who commit different crimes today.
Yeah, crime rate increases. It's part of the socioeconomic pressure that they face.
I would tell you that a lot of them don't like the idea of being in crime. They just feel like it is a way for them to survive. If they don't do it, there might not be a chance for them.
Yeah.
And of course you would want to survive.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. The country is, it's a whole different topic. We would not finish if we started that.
Definitely.
Crazy.
It's just how it weights down on
socio-economic pressure is,
it's a crucial one.
It's next level.
It's next level because there's a lot of parties involved in terms of that factor.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's not just the individual or the individual's family. There's also the economy itself.
The economy.
Yeah.
If an economy thrives, the people will thrive.
The people will thrive.
There'll be jobs.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
It's crazy.
It's a lot.
Speaking on pressure, another aspect of pressure is relationship. Being forced or being advised by parents and whoever, family, loved ones, friends, to be in a relationship with a boy or either a girl, to be in some kind of relationship. That factor, especially that factor, that's an outside factor that somewhat affects your views on relationship. Like, what do you think about it? Like, is it because it gets to an age where you get pressured, especially in Nigeria, especially for girls too. It gets to an age where
it's worse for girls.
It's worse, right?
Established.
It gets to
worse for girls.
It gets to an age where like they're pressured to be in some kind of relationship.
Nigeria is a place where growing up, your parents are always trying to protect you or trying to be strict, overly strict in some cases. They don't have the talk with you. You're not allowed to have friends of the opposite gender, and then boom, you hit an age and they could come to you and say, who's your girlfriend or who's your boyfriend?
Yeah.
They just expect it to be happening when they've been shunning that aspect of life for the longest time. For girls now, it is girls as young as 22 years of age in Nigeria are pressured about husbands. I'm not saying married. This because I've heard it. I know people who are about to be out of university and their parents are like, whoa, who's your boyfriend or who's your fiance?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Worse for girls, as I've said before. For guys, they would understand that you're working, or not that girls don't work, but it's just the way Nigeria is. But the pressure comes later for guys, maybe when you're about to hit 30. But for girls as early as 21, 22, certain households are pressuring their daughters about relationships and marriage. So it's crazy. There's that aspect, and then there's the pressure you get from you wanting to be in a relationship with a certain type of person. So
maybe say your standards are being high. Isn't it part of the aspect of perfectionism where you see someone that you out there that has everything, and then you put yourself in a spot where you have to get or be in some kind of relationship with someone that's of that status and that. And then you pressure yourself into ensuring that you secure yourself that kind of a person.
So there is that. And then there's the one of you wanting a certain kind of person just because it's what your friends would want. You understand? Let's say some girls, they're not even all about that. They just want someone they can be themselves with. And this said someone could be someone who's not up there yet, who's just trying to figure stuff out, and then their friends would always make them feel terrible whenever they talked about that person or whenever that person was in the picture in some kind of way. So they feel the pressure to step up their game, in terms of who they date or what he has. So it's crazy. And then there's the aspect of what this person looks like. People are all about tall, dark, handsome these days. And then when it comes to the girls, they're all about depending on what the spec is. It could be the booty, it could be the boobs, it could be, it could be complexion even.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's true.
so
True.
it's
Size, skinny.
size, bro.
Yeah.
Size. Talking about size, bro.
Yeah, you made emphasis on size. looks like
Size,
it looks
bro.
like you have your spec.
I definitely do, bro.
That's crazy.
I definitely do.
So yeah, you're saying.
Yeah, it's just, when you bring all of these factors and consider them, you would realize that it is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It is a lot of pressure, and it has led people to making loads and loads of wrong choices and
Mistakes,
decisions.
yeah.
And mistakes. So especially being that, young adults don't exactly have it figured out. So if you're getting that kind of pressure for a girl as early as 21, 22, you were just a baby the other day, and then now they're expecting you to be ready for marriage. They're expecting you to, bring home a man. They're expecting you to carry yourself in a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
So.
But what do you think are the reasons why most of this it happens a lot? Is it particularly because of the period of time where they expect a girl to start a family? Is it that time frame?
That is definitely a big
because it's not in
part
all
of it.
it's not in all countries. Some countries they'll pressure you to be in a relationship. Some countries they'll force you into marriage. Some countries don't force you into marriages. Some countries might pressure you to be in some kind of relationship. But is it because of what is expected of a girl? Is that to give birth at a certain time and groom the kid and have enough time to do all that? Or?
Absolutely. There are other factors such as religion. In certain religions, you're supposed to marry, or it's all right to marry as young as a certain age.
Yeah.
So there is that. So people who are in those religions, would automatically think that, if my baby girl is this age and a suitor comes, why should she say no?
Yeah.
And then what you see in a typical society would be the pressure on these girls because there's a thing such as menopause.
Yeah.
So, so when it comes to that, when that is what you're focusing on, these girls even put pressure on themselves too.
Yeah.
Because, of course, loads of women, a lot of them, not all, but they want to have kids. So if marriage isn't happening and they're about 30, 31, they're worried. Yeah. And you see it in the way they act. You see it in
the way they...
Yeah, you just see it. And it might even pressure them to agree to going out with guys they would normally not go out with.
Yeah.
So they're just under pressure. They just want to get married.
But doesn't it apply to guys too as well? Like, let's say you have your mom or something, your grandma forcing you to, or let's say you're the only son.
Yeah, in that case, it's usually a lot of pressure.
You've been forced into some kind of relationship so that you could, give birth and,
Yeah, it happens because in Nigeria here, that's when you'll hear statements like, continue my lineage.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, bro. It's crazy, but yeah, like I said, the pressure is everywhere. I just think it's more for girls, but then in a situation where a guy is an only son, it could be even more, because there's a talk of the grandmom wanting you to have kids as early as possible so she could be around for a while before, so it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It could go both ways.
Have you experienced this? I know you're young, but
I'm the first son, but luckily, my family, they don't really pressure me as much to do something that I'm not comfortable with.
Okay.
So the beautiful thing about it is, I love, thank God that, I grew up in a family where you're allowed to express yourself.
Okay.
And your time is also, valuable because it's at your own pace. Absolutely. The advice will come. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants the best for you.
Of course.
But the decision is still mine. So what about cultural pressure? Like depending on whatever the cultural norm is, right? It's always some kind of pressure. take for instance, in some cultures, there's arranged marriage.
Yeah, that used to be a thing, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still is.
It still is.
Yeah.
Where you don't really have a say. They've already fixed your wife and your husband for you to marry. And in some culture, in terms of marriage, when you're deciding to actually even marry, some cultures, it's mandatory for you to have a traditional, even if that's not your forte.
Yeah.
And still in some culture, it's also mandatory that the male figure, whenever they pass out or whenever they die, they are deceased, it's important for them to be buried at their father's house.
Yeah.
So all this cultural thing, the one that's key for me is the arranged marriage one, where, your marriage is fixed. Why do you think like that is necessary,
These days, it's been toned down, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
It used to be a thing for the generation before ours.
Yeah.
It was normal that your parents would arrange marriages for you.
Even before you're
At some
old
point,
enough to make your own decisions. Yeah.
Kids, just little kids.
Yeah.
And these arrangements are made based on sometimes friendship.
Yeah.
Your father just wants you to be married to his friend's daughter.
Yeah.
Just in his head, he wants to continue the friendship even after he's gone.
Yeah.
Between the families, and that's enough reason for him. And in some cases, it is because these parents think they know better.
Yeah.
So whomever they are arranging these marriages with, they would think this person would be better for their kid. So in their head, this person is well-to-do, or this person would take absolute care of my child.
Yeah.
So that happens. And then there's also the case of, just parents being plain selfish.
Yeah.
It is about what they want. They don't care about their kids.
Yeah. And
they feel like what they want is good enough for the both of you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I've heard people from the older generation say that they learned to love their partner. That is to say, they weren't in love at first because they didn't even know this partner in the first place for them to have the opportunity to be in love before getting married. So it was while in the marriage that they learned to love their partner.
Yeah.
It begs the question, is this the way to go?
Yeah.
You understand? And then whether they like it or not, if it turns out right for them, they might think, that is the absolute right choice. Yeah. So they want to do it too.
Yeah.
And I personally think that is why it went on and still goes on in certain places for as long as it has gone on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all of that.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And another thing is, even those that, still are, let's take for instance, there's some religions that allow you marry multiple wives.
Yeah.
And so some people might be put in a position where they have to come into that relationship and there's already a first wife. And it's now like a choice some people don't even have the choice to make whether or not that's what they want. And even those that have the choice to make, it might not wind up being a very difficult decision for them to decide if they want to go into that kind of relationship or not, knowing fully well if there are already multiple wives, because at the end of the day, they're going to embody whatever it is that this person, the man of the house has with him. They have to embody everything and deal with that. At the same time, they also have to do the exact same thing for whoever and whatever is also involved in that family and that relationship.
Yeah.
So pressure can weigh down on you if it's something you can't really handle.
Absolutely.
Another form of pressure is the conforming, which is, you made mention to me about that. You said something about your friends, trying to be in a relationship with a kind of person that your friends approve. So conforming in the sense that how you dress, how you look, how you present yourself, you know, in any form or manner, which is, you know, based off the energy you get from people that are around you.
Yeah. So conformity pretty much is, you know,
because let's say there's this guy dresses like this like that, you know, and you feel like I have to look like this person.
Yeah, especially because of how you feel like his dressing gets him attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So conformity just being agreeing to,
or you could be in a relationship with someone that expects you to look, dress, feel a certain type of way.
Yeah. So conformity being, you know, just agreeing to a certain way of life, you know, is a form of pressure.
If it doesn't apply to you,
Exactly, because
you're being put
you
in
could
that
conform
position.
to positive stuff and you could conform to negative stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so if it doesn't apply to you now, because sometimes we don't know something because we've not tried it.
Yeah.
You know, so something might not apply to you and you would conform to it and it'll turn out great.
Yeah.
And then you could conform to something that doesn't necessarily go with what you believe. And then because you didn't even believe in it in the first place, it, you know, becomes what you expected. Turns out bad.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it depends on what it is a person is conforming to.
So there are positives and negatives in it, like that.
Absolutely,
that you could
pros and
take
cons, a lot.
out of it.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is.
Exactly.
So you can learn the positive stuff and you take out the positive stuff from whatever individual or whoever you surround yourself with. You could choose to also go the other way.
Exactly.
Right? And then so that could affect
because talking
things.
about dressing now, there are a lot of people who they are not aesthetically inclined.
Yeah.
You know, they just put stuff on.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you're in a relationship with, say, a girl and she wants you to dress better, you know, and maybe there's a person she wants you to dress like, maybe a celebrity.
Yeah.
And, you know, you start to do that because you can do that and notice that you even feel better about yourself. So you just didn't know you could look that good, or you just weren't even thinking of that area of life. But you begin to do this and, you know, you're getting better attention. Your girlfriend shows you more affection.
Yeah.
You know, she loved you before, but it's like she loves you more now.
Yeah.
You know, then you would say what you conformed to was positive. Then there's also the case where, you know, maybe the guys seen as cool guys in an environment are guys who, you know, do certain things. Maybe they smoke certain things or abuse certain things, and then one would, you know, feel the pressure to conform, you know, to what they are doing. In that case. It would turn out to be negative, of course.
I feel like it's sometimes the one I really pick up is sometimes the expectation or that you have from your partner to feel or look a certain type of way too could be a lot of pressure that could weigh on you, especially if you're an individual those terms don't apply to you, and you want to live life on your own term.
Absolutely.
You know, putting all that into consideration and then having to try to be something that you might not be because of someone, you know, that could be a lot of pressure that could weigh down on an individual. But on the brighter side, what about some of the advantages and disadvantages of this pressure? On one good side is obviously it could make you a better version of yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, it could push you to
make you step up your game.
Up, and you know, so those are that's a good advantage.
Yeah, that's a pro, definitely.
But what about the disadvantages? For one of the disadvantages that I know is it could push you into emulating some habits that you might not, you know, be. There's some detrimental habits like drugs, alcohol,
absolutely,
excessive use of alcohol, and all that. And that could be part of the reason why, like, the pressure itself can it could serve as a pressure on its own in terms of being pressured into, and it could also be an escape route for you to cope the pressure that you're experiencing outside.
Yeah. No.
So you could start emulating self-destructive habits.
Absolutely. Another con or disadvantage would be pressure has the tendency to limit someone, because if you conform to the norms of what a certain group does, as they say, your company can either grow you or stunt you.
Yeah.
So if they have set goals and you had bigger goals because you conformed, it could just limit you, and then you wouldn't achieve all those great heights you planned on achieving before. So that's definitely one disadvantage of pressure.
What about low self-esteem and mental issues, mental health?
See how you talked about that kid.
Because all this pressure can be put on you so much that you might not feel, accepted. And this can weigh down on you, reducing your self-esteem and self-confidence.
Absolutely.
And it could affect you mentally because you always keep questioning yourself if you are worth it or if you are acceptable. Do you understand? Which could affect you mentally.
See how you talked about, in that scenario where we gave about kids in school withdrawing, and being in isolation. A lot of kids who withdraw and are isolated from other kids usually have low self-esteem. And it leads to depression, of course. And then all of this is, there are parts of mental health, and some people cope with this by doing certain destructive things, and then over time you would tell on them and you would see what a big impact something that seemed so small eventually had. So when it comes to mental health, psychology being the study of the mind and behavior, according to the American Psychological Association, just tends to want to predict behavior. They want to explain it, and then they want to change behavior. Those are some of the goals of psychology. And then behavior is such a big thing, because it is such a vast concept. It is so big, and then when it comes to mental health, people don't necessarily know what it is that got them to certain stages.
It could be an accumulation of a lot of things.
Over time, certain things you were exposed to, led you to be, what you are. And then if it's having certain detrimental effects on your life and the people around you, then it might be time to get, a shrink or a psychologist to help you out.
And like I said initially, another issue could be isolation too, because pressure can force you into self-isolation simply because you feel you're not worthy or up to the standard of what society and culture and all this that we've mentioned, and have the pressure that they put on you. You're not up to that standard. And you feel secluded because you feel you don't fit in. And it's very important because, like, for those that feel they don't fit in, they retract. And retracting meaning they look for a safe haven for themselves. And if that safe haven is them isolating themselves completely from the world and not really, expressing themselves socially and all that, it could also affect them, like I said, mentally. And
absolutely.
Part of that could also lead to self-harm, which is another issue in terms of the disadvantages, self-harm. And you hear multiple cases of a lot of people committing suicide. The reason why they do that is not because they want to, it's just because the environment that they're in and their circumstances have proven otherwise. And so pressure that they're getting to perform, pressure that they're getting to be perfect, pressure that they're getting to look a certain type of way, pressure that they're getting to marry or be in some kind of relationship. the pressure they get to perform, pressure to get to, academically,
being a certain social class.
And when they are not living up to that standard and expectation, they feel like their life isn't worth it. And so you hear multiple news of a lot of people committing suicide because of that. So that could be, that is a major disadvantage when it comes to pressure.
Absolutely. With pressure, one doesn't ever necessarily know it all.
Yeah.
With pressure, you could be under pressure and not know it.
Yeah.
It's just happening.
Yeah.
But if you do not pay attention to the way you feel, you would not know.
Yeah.
And then even if you knew, you might not think it was that big a deal.
Yeah.
Until sometime in the future where you see what it cost.
Yeah.
The case of suicide is a very terrible one. I think it's the worst.
Yeah.
But it's sad that I like that there are organizations who talk about this thing and try to make
Mental health,
try to make it known that, if you're feeling the kind of way, there are numbers to call, there are people to tweet at, there are people to just go to, but there are not enough, especially in a country like ours where pretty much everyone is under some kind of pressure.
Major.
Yeah, and it's major here too. So I feel like we need more of these organizations, and in schools, as we said before,
shed a positive
as early
light.
as possible,
shed a
even
positive
in primary
light.
schools here,
from the grassroots.
Exactly, because that's where it would have the most impact. If people come up a certain kind of way, they're prone to stick to it, most likely. So but pressure is such a big topic. It's such a vast one.
Yeah,
and
Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians go through so much pressure. Especially those that have to figure out a way to make ends meet. Those that actually are just looking for a way to feed.
Yeah,
just all they really want. And you can imagine the amount of pressure that weigh on that person, especially if the person has a family to cater for and they're not living up to that expectation. It could be very overwhelming. So it's very important for individuals like us and to pay attention to the people around us. The fact that a lot of people put a smile on their face doesn't necessarily mean they're in a good place. It just means that they've figured out a way to shadow whatever it is that they're going through. And this pressure can lead to low self-esteem, depression, isolation. So a lot of other things could be very, very, very detrimental to one's health too, as well.
Now there's a kind of pressure, and people in their 20s, early 20s, early 30s, hell, even 40s feel it.
Yeah.
Now in Nigeria, everybody knows you're trying to get to your next level, your personal next level.
Yeah.
And then there are people who get there or seem to get there some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And amongst friends, you would hear them tease each other and ask, in pidgin English, sure you get money.
You get money now.
You get money.
You get money.
You get. So imagine the pressure you would feel if you felt like you're just trying to get to your next level. Of course, you have set goals. Of course, you have things you want to achieve, but then some way, somehow, not everyone gets to their next level by positive means.
Yeah.
And let's say in this case, this said friend got there some way, somehow, and it's clear it's not positive.
Yeah.
But then he's teasing you still. Imagine the pressure you would feel to want to try out what he tried.
Yeah.
Whether it agrees with you or not.
Yeah. Yeah, to live up to that expectation.
Exactly. And then you feel like it is until you're where he's at that the girls might like you.
Yeah.
That certain people would accept you.
Yeah, which could force you into doing things that you shouldn't.
Exactly.
I.e., venture into some aspects and some other things that might not be the best of advice that anyone give you, or the best of options or choices for you. But what are the things that we could do to sort of protect ourselves from pressure? There are a lot of things that we could do. I mentioned one, which was self-care. Very, very important. Self-care meaning obviously investing or doing anything potentially that would make you, that should or would make you happy. Anything that is good for you, particularly.
You first. There's a reason why they say, in planes, right? Put your mask, or what is it, on first before you try to help someone else.
Yes.
Because it is important to take care of self. It is when you take care of yourself, you can take care of others.
Yeah.
Exactly. Self-care, people tend to think it's selfish.
I don't think it's selfish.
It's just when you put yourself first, of course, in a positive way.
Yeah.
Some people just can't handle it for some reason.
Yes.
It just rubs off on them in a certain kind of way. It's not your problem.
Yeah.
It's the way they're handling it. But then if they project it onto you, it will make you question yourself.
Yeah.
Am I doing a little too much?
Yeah.
When you're just trying to be your best self.
Yeah. Best.
You're just trying to be your best self, you're just trying to be positive, and then someone is having a problem with it. They feel like you do too much. They feel like that's what's crazy about life. Even if you're doing something very positive, there are people who would tease you about it and make you feel like, I have been somewhere where a group of people who have not hit the gym in the longest time are teasing people who go to the gym. They make it seem like because you're working out, you're wasting your time. Or you're not busy enough, that's why you're working out.
Not bad belly now.
As they go. So, and they even slut shame certain ladies who go to the gym.
Yeah.
They're just trying to work out, and then you're slut shaming them, making you feel bad about something that is positive.
Yes.
You could work or have a certain kind of work ethic, and then you would get teased for being all up in your business too much.
Yeah.
You say, they come out, you come chill, and you sabi pass. Things like that. And then these things sound very light, but then people are different. You could have different impacts on different people. So it's just a lot.
Yeah, but
I feel like I went off a bit. You asked something.
It's self-care.
Okay.
And also I feel self-care meaning understanding that, at every particular point in time, it's not saying, nobody's saying you should be selfish. Just understand that every particular point in time, you have to also have your best interest.
Absolutely.
If it's affecting you mentally, if it's affecting you physically, if it's affecting your health, you have to somewhat prioritize, and determine what is more important than the other. And practicing self-care is very important so that you know that at any particular point in time when you're being pressured to do any particular thing, you look back in yourself and ask yourself, is this worth it for me as an individual? Would this affect me in any kind of way? And when you make that choice, it will be able to help you make a good decision when being pressured.
Yeah. Okay, I think I remember what it was now. You made that point about how to handle it positively. One of the ways is to say, no, thank you.
That's having a boundary.
Exactly.
Setting boundaries for yourself.
As easy as it is, it is the most neglected. It's easy to just say, no, thank you. A lot of people would take that. People trying to pressure you would take that.
Yeah.
But then for some reason, we subconsciously, neglect it.
Yeah.
Because parts of us is trying to, accommodate that other person in some way.
Yeah.
We have this thing where we don't want to outrightly, what's the word now? You don't want to make a person feel bad.
Yeah.
So instead of saying no, thank you, you try to accommodate them in some way, even though it's not exactly what's right for you.
Yeah.
There's that. There's you using I don't know, you could use humor,
Yeah.
as a way to say no to bad pressure.
Yeah.
Especially if it's coming directly. The kinds of pressure, there's the direct one, there's the indirect one, there's the spoken pressure, there's unspoken, there's positive and there's negative, So all of these, even the ones that are more behavior centric, there are certain ways to do certain things. When you listen to yourself, first you would know that this pressure coming to me isn't necessarily positive.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to yourself, if you're getting pressured to do something, you would know if it is positive or negative pressure.
Yeah.
And then that would help you because you've listened to yourself. It would help you, react the right way.
Yeah.
If it's not something you want, then you try to shun it.
Yeah.
The nicest way possible. You just let the person pressuring you. Even in some cases, you just let them know that they're pressuring you and you would want them to stop.
Yeah. Setting boundaries for yourself is very important.
Absolutely.
Because, setting boundaries, what your capabilities are.
Yeah.
You understand? And because you've set boundaries for yourself, you know that at any particular point in time, I'm not about to, overlap and do what is not comfortable for me within my turf.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
And like you also mentioned too, knowing that you have a choice is very important. The fact that like the only thing that could happen about you knowing that you have a choice and making your own choice is the fact that fine, you might lose one or two relationships, or it might affect one or two relationships because you're making the conscious choice to not accept someone's demand or to not conform to someone's own form of pressure on you, and that might tarnish or affect the relationship. For instance, if your parents are forcing you into a marriage that you don't want, you have that choice. And so you making that choice might affect the relationship because you're going against it. But the fact that you know that you and only you are entitled to your own decisions, it's a strong way of dealing with it.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
Absolutely.
So if I'm being pressured to drink, to do that, I'm not going to do it because someone is instigating that I do it. Mm-hmm. I'll do it because it's the conscious choice that I want to make for myself, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
And another thing is you also have to bear in mind that wherever the person is, they also to have their own choices, and the moment you're willing to accept the fact that you'd have to, that they have a mind of their own, and then they have their intentions. Intentions might be pure, intentions might be not. But the fact that you can accept that they have their own choices and they make their own decisions, it's also another good way to control and, coat yourself from pressure because you feel unbothered in the sense.
Doesn't matter what they do.
It doesn't matter. But you've instantly accepted the fact that they're also entitled to their own decisions.
Yeah.
So that embracing that puts you in a position where you say, oh, wow, it's okay. It's nothing wrong. I hear you. I feel what you say. I understand what you're talking about, but I'm making my own choice.
Absolutely.
And my own choices, A or B.
So now question, do you feel like people who have loud personalities have a bigger chance to influence others?
I feel, yes, people that have a loud personality have a bigger chance to oppress.
Oppress, not influence now.
Not influence.
Okay.
They have a bigger chance to oppress. Influence would mean that you make an impact on someone. If you're not making an impact in anybody particularly, you're not influencing the person. But they have the opportunity to oppress because they're the louder voice in the room. You understand?
Yeah.
And so if you choose to, suppress yourself to whatever it is that they're up against or they put in front of you, that is your own choice. But they have a larger opportunity of making some kind of
So because people who have like larger than life personalities, people tend to think that they are right in
control.
certain cases.
They're heading
you get
towards the right direction.
exactly. So, and that's not necessarily the case. Most of the times, it's not the case.
Some people might have. Most of them might have that personality or might do that a lot to shadow some of their own insecurities. So
that's something.
Yeah.
That's something. I know that a lot of people who have low self-esteem tend to be bullies.
Yeah.
You know, they have low self-esteem, so they are being loud, they are being provocative, you know, to hide that.
Yeah.
They don't want to, they are so aware of it that they don't want to be perceived as that.
Yeah.
So they do everything to try to give another front.
Exactly. It's just like in let's take for instance, if you watch some of all this chick flicks, right? It's that one very rich, you know, bully of a girl that is in control of her.
Yeah, she's like the head of her clique.
Yeah, the head of her clique, making all the decisions. And then when you look deeper into her and her life, you then find out that she's in either in a relationship or not a relationship or a rusty relationship in their family, in her family, or it could be that, you know, the parents are not, you know, fully well present in their life, probably because of, you understand, there's always some kind of background that somewhat portrays the reason why this person is exactly the way it is.
Absolutely.
And then you have whoever it is that she's up against, you know, approach her or attend to some of those issues, you know, that might wound up, you know, bringing out the real side of her, the softer side of her. Eventually. Because there's this person that addresses that issue that she faces in her family.
Issue.
You understand? So there's always something behind a lot of people that are excessively loud.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, but generally, you know, pressure, I feel like it applies to everybody. I wouldn't lie to you that me as an individual, I don't feel pressured. I feel pressured in so many ways. Pressure to perform, expectancies, and all that.
Bro.
So what I just try to do most of the time is understand that, you know, my time is different from, you know, the next person behind me. And I tend to take things at my own pace, you know, which is very important. But the kind of response I get from the people around me too is also been quite helpful for me, because it's also good for you to surround yourself with people that support you positively and always want to make an impact in your life. You know, regardless of what stage you find yourself in, they would still accept you for who you are.
Absolutely.
So that's the key thing.
So you know what you said about your time being your time?
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a big thing, because in life, you know, if we're going to speak in certain ways, some people are taking regular steps, you know?
Yeah.
Some people are using escalators.
Yeah.
Some people are in elevators.
Some people are taking shortcuts.
You know, some people are just being lifted.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different.
Yeah.
For everybody. And I think it boils down to listening to yourself, understanding your situation.
Yeah.
You understand? Set goals for yourself, and then just make the efforts every single day to, you know, achieve something.
Yeah.
You know,
at your own pace.
At your own pace, very important. At your own pace. Don't, you know, necessarily think everybody else's life applies to what is going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, try to do what you can when you can.
Yeah.
Keep it positive, be optimistic about life, and it'll turn out great.
It would, man.
Absolutely.
It was amazing having you on the show, Joe.
Like I said, this has been the highlight of my day, of my week. In fact,
wow,
absolutely.
We chopped it a big time.
Crazy, bro.
Definitely going to be having you on the show again.
I would want to be back.
We're going to be talking about maybe some much more, you know, less tense in terms of pressure.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to be having fun, you know. And for those of y'all listening, this is RadarVault, and, you know, you're tuned into Mecca, but I mean, if you're tuning in right now, you're tuning in at the wrong time. But anyways, I'm on the show with Joe, and we chopped it up. We talked about pressure and all types of pressure. and how you deal with it. So, always take the conscious effort to understand that, you have your own values, set your own boundaries, understand that you have a choice, believe in yourself, and work at your own pace, no one else. So,
Absolutely.
So, Joe, man.
Yeah, bro.
It was nice really having you, bro.
It was my pleasure, man.
It's a pleasure.
It was my pleasure. Please have me back.
Definitely going to be having you on the show again.
Crazy, bro. Crazy.
All right, people. Thank you all for tuning in to RadarVault. You know what time it is. Mecha season. Always Mecha season. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Go, gadget flow. Go, gadget flow. Go, gadget flow.